It's Waxing Lyrical, baby.
Hello, Waxers, and welcome to Waxing Lyrical with Mains and Duts. I'm your host, Mains, and my colleague, radio superstar, Mr. Neil Dutton. How are we, Neil?
Super Bowl.
Woo woo. You were explaining to the great city of Liverpool all about the Super Bowl today on Radio City Talk.
I was chatting with Mr. Steve Hoddestall of Radio City Talk. I don't think Steve's the biggest NFL fan in the world, so it was nice to try and walk him through what was happening.
Yeah, no, he wasn't, but it was. I think even if he was or he wasn't, I'm guaranteeing, Chantel from Tuberu wasn't. She was probably telling you to get the F off the radio so you can play Pretty Green Eyes again. But, there you go. For those people who don't live in Liverpool, you have absolutely no idea what we're talking about right now, and I don't care.
Yeah, and to those that do live in Liverpool are absolutely killing themselves, of course, with that sweeping generalisation.
Yeah. Don't worry. I could have brought up that she was in her pink Everton kit with a big dunk poster on her wall.
God, he's still talking.
Let's get on with it, Neil. It's Super Bowl week, and while the great and the good are in Miami sunning it up, we are not, and we're going to talk Super Bowl. We're going to do a bit of an overview first, and then we're going to talk the game, what we expect, talk some unlikely heroes, do our favourite thing, which is, random prop bets, then pick a winner. So should we do it, Neil? You asked me a question, and you will answer first, and it was, what is your favourite Super Bowl moment not involving your team? So go.
Well, I mean, the reason I ask it is you've watched more Super Bowls than me.
I have, yeah.
Your team have won more Super Bowls than mine. Not for a while, obviously. And I don't know if anyone points out, but the Eagles won one a couple of years ago.
If you listen to the Ryan Russillo podcast, I think I heard play-by-play of the last 5 minutes of that game from Chris Long. So yeah.
Well, he would know. It's just my first Super Bowl. I mean, this will be the 20th year I've been watching the NFL. So my first Super Bowl I watched was the 2000 season with the Baltimore Ravens. There's been a lot of great moments. I mean, obviously the Eagles have only played in 2. So, the Philly special is obviously my favourite moment. But as I say, not involving my team. It's a tough one because I think most of the Super Bowls I've watched, I'd love to see it happen, hasn't actually happened. The Kurt Warner, with the Cardinals, 2008 after they beat the Eagles, I wanted to see Kurt Warner win one. I wanted to see Larry Fitz win one. I wanted to see, we'll go back to Kurt Warner again, wanted to see the Greatest Show on Turf win another one in 2001. So it's tough to say, the best moments, not involving the Eagles because it just seems that if you have a best moment, it's got to be something to do with the Patriots. And if it's against the Patriots, you look bitter. And if it's in favour of the Patriots, it's a bit... You're running the risk of being a hot take machine.
Yeah, for me, I've got a few. I love the Leon Lett running into the end zone as a defender against the Buffalo Bills and getting chased down and losing the ball on the 1 yard line. I love the James Harrison 99-yard touchdown in that Arizona-Pittsburgh game, as you mentioned, mainly for the fact that we were watching it together and there was a lot of screams of he'll be out, tackle him, and no one did. We watched Indianapolis versus the Saints with a close personal friend of ours, Dr. Andy Green, who's a massive Saints fan, and when Peyton threw the interception, that was something I will never forget. And also, and I think you mentioned it on the Radio City Talk show, the when Janet Jackson got a boob out, we can say it's a podcast. And why I loved it is because we were watching it live. I think there was 4 of us.
I think there was.
Me, you, Mullen, and Ian Graves, right? Is that correct?
I think so.
Yeah,
maybe.
And because it happens in live, and I think people need to remember Twitter wasn't a thing. You kind of was like, did their boob just come out? And you didn't really know because then they cut to the end and there was a bit of a ooh.
It was a moment that was wonderfully handled on Sky by the great Kevin Cadle, who basically just had a massive grin on his face the whole time. And of course, you say there was no social media, but it was that event that did lead to the creation of YouTube.
Yeah, well, there you go. Do you think it's a game you'd want to go to, Neil, or would you prefer to go to other games like we have done in London?
I prefer to go to other games. The game is almost of secondary import. I mean, I've listened to the Rotor World podcast this week. Now, I love the Rotor World podcast. I love Josh Norris, friend of the show, like John Daigle, Ian Hartitz, Patrick Doherty, obviously, is another big friend. But the people they've been talking to this week, the majority of the questions have been about things that aren't involving the Super Bowl, and they've been speaking to people who aren't even playing in the Super Bowl. It just seems to be it's like the NFL's annual convention. There just happens to be a game. So I think the game can sometimes, especially, I think we've been to bad games, at Wembley. We've seen some ordinary fare, and it's still a bit like, it's still just a novelty. We went to an NFL game. A bad Super Bowl and a boring Super Bowl tends to live in the mind and sums up the whole season. So I just think, I think it'll be a terribly long way to go for a crap game. And while, you can argue it'd be the greatest place in the world to be for a barn burner, it's that mentality for me of, naturally optimistic that I am. Imagine if I get the one team scores 50, the other team scores 3, and, it was never close.
Or you love offense and you got last year's game.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those, I think it'd be, it's a bucket list moment, but despite the fact that, obviously, we're an NFL podcast and you'd think it'd be quite important, I think it's actually quite way down on the bucket list.
Well, there you go. Neil, let's move on to the game. Chiefs versus the 49ers. I guess we have, after the Lord Mayor show of the Sean McVay's the greatest offensive coach ever created in Christendom debate of last year, we actually have two wonderful offensive coaches who do things very, very differently. I think, Neil, I would like you to use the line you used on the Lombardi Live podcast that you were on in relation to Andy Reid and the running game.
I pointed out that when the mood suits him, Andy Reid ignores the running game like he ignores salad.
Which is true. I guess in terms of these two offenses, is the one you prefer to watch over the other? As a fan of the forward pass, I would prefer to watch the offense with a better quarterback. Now, I will just stress straight away, I am not hating on Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is a fine quarterback. I don't subscribe to the opinion that he is being hidden on his offense. He just plays an offense that he just needs to facilitate. And at times, it's as I say, they asked Kyle Shanahan, why did you only call 8 pass plays and 42 run plays? Because it was working. Okay. I just think it was one of those, they got into a rhythm where Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo are of a mind that, look, if you don't have to pass the ball, you're not going to. Yeah, and I think people forget that his dad won Super Bowls. And he won them with John Elway, one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. However, it wasn't the reason they won those games. In a very similar Jimmy Garoppolo fashion, they did throw, but if you look at the stats back in those games, especially the second one, they are Peyton Manning-esque in his final Super Bowl. So it is one of them things where I do love a Shanahan run game. I do, but as you said, sometimes you just want to watch the better quarterback, and I think sometimes I think Jimmy Garoppolo is a very good quarterback. But I just that spark that Patrick Mahomes has is pretty special. I saw something weird today, and I was listening to a podcast, and there's weird defensive numbers on the 49ers. Terrible versus play action, poor on early downs. So from the Chiefs, weirdly playing into their hands of keep throwing, because it also stops substitution throughout the game, and you want to get them defensive linemen tired as possible.
the big criticism we said about the Kansas City Chiefs last year was you can't have a great offense and be the 32nd ranked defense because it's going to bite you. We weren't expecting the Kansas City Chiefs to be the San Francisco 49ers defense. We just needed them to be mediocre. And for the first half of the season, they were terrible. But the second half of the season, they were exceptional. Once Steve Spagnuolo worked out what type of players he had. So that obviously helps in the fact that we haven't had to see Patrick Mahomes get in a position where he has to score on every possession. He does. He just, at no point, there are several instances during this postseason where it's been like, okay, you don't have to score a touchdown. Oh, you're going to, okay, yeah. So obviously, if they are being put in a position where the weaknesses of a very, very good San Francisco 49ers defense play into their strengths, then that's why I think, that's another advantage to the Chiefs, obviously, because I think if it comes down to if the Chiefs' defense can limit Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers' defense can limit Patrick Mahomes, I will take an underperforming Mahomes rather than an underperforming Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think that's the main difference.
Yeah, obviously we know that the best third down pass rush is the 49ers in the NFL. Did you know that the second best third down pass rush is the Kansas City Chiefs?
I did not.
I think, the problem with the Chiefs is running the ball. The linebackers are not great. And, if they get into that secondary, into that past the defensive line, it could be an issue for the Chiefs. But they need to get them in third down situations because they need them to throw the ball. Like in the last two games the 49ers have played, they haven't had to throw the ball. Like I think the Chiefs need to make them throw the ball. Is that easy? Absolutely not, because I'm sure the Packers would have liked to have done it 2 weeks ago. It's just not simple. But I do think that that's kind of the thing they've got to try and get their mind into, and from a 49ers point of view, I don't think you can make the Chiefs run. So it's going to be a lot of pin your ears back and go and try and get Patrick Mahomes. But know that if you don't get him, your corners, regardless of who they are going to struggle to keep up with many.
Yeah, because
there's hundreds of them.
Yeah, this Chiefs team's attracting. I've said this, repeatedly. As an Eagles fan, I didn't realise you were allowed an offense that was this fast.
Yeah, exactly.
It's as you say. I mean, people are saying. By the way, anyone who's saying, the 49ers run the ball, so running the ball does matter. Yes, but by the same token, who is running the ball for the 49ers? An undrafted free agent who's been cut by 6 teams. Not someone they took at the second overall pick. So don't try and victory lap me.
What I'd say to you even more on that, Neil, is Mostert going to be the one who runs it this week? Like, I don't know. Stick some names in a hat. Could it be Tevin Coleman? Could it be Matt Breida? Does Deebo Samuel run it 6 times? Do you know what I mean? Like the team, yeah, they do. Running the ball matters. Running backs don't. It's not complicated, this. Like, everybody pay attention. What we're saying is that who runs it doesn't matter. Running it is a useful and efficient way to move offense. You just don't have to have Ezekiel Elliott running it.
I think as well, the big difference, people are saying, the Chiefs managed to stop the Titans and their run game. Chalk and cheese. That was a powerful, physical run game that they outbullied them. This is, it's fast, it's elusive, and it's, as you say, pick your poison. You think, okay, we could stop Matt Breida. Yeah, this isn't Breida time. It's time for Mostert. It's like Mostert. Oh, okay, we can stop. Oh, it's Tevin Coleman time. You don't know when they're going to come, and if they can platoon them, they're going to be fresh. They're going to keep coming. The way that the Chiefs have the biggest advantage is, and we said this about the Titans, and I'll keep saying it, if you make it that those running backs are irrelevant in the third quarter and Jimmy Garoppolo has to pretty much pass every down, then the Chiefs are going to win. Because, you can't even call Garoppolo a game manager, trying to be disparaging, because game managers don't throw interceptions. And while it's not as if Jimmy G is Jameis Winston, but he's got a mistake in him. And you saw that against the Vikings, where he wasn't, he wasn't asked to do an awful lot, but he had that mistake, and he made that mistake. And it was just the fact that their defense was better on the day than the Vikings that it didn't cost them.
Absolutely, Neil. Unlikely heroes for the game, Neil. You wanted to highlight some people. Who would you have as your unlikely heroes for the game?
Well, the most important one for me is, we know, as I say, unlikely heroes. I don't want to be, it's that classic. I always go back to the 1994 World Cup on BBC, and they asked, okay, who's a player to watch? Jimmy. And Jimmy Hill said Jurgen Klinsmann. No shit, Jimmy. One of the best strikers in world football. You think he might be worth a view. Thanks for that cutting-edge insight. That's brilliant. So we're not focused. I'm not interested in Patrick Mahomes, Jimmy Garoppolo, Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Tyreek Hill. I'm not interested in those people. I'm interested in people who, if they have a big game, they could go some way towards helping their team win. One of these players is K'Wan Williams, who's the nickelback for the San Francisco 49ers. Now, he's played 15 games this season. He's started in 8 of them. That could be base personnel-wise, whatever. The reason why he's important is he lines up in the slot. Now, we know that in the past, Tyreek Hill and players of his ilk have given Richard Sherman a bit of trouble. The small, the fast, the elusive wide receiver, rather than the big physical one. But we also know that Richard Sherman probably isn't going to follow Tyreek Hill into the slot. That's where K'Wan Williams is. Now, K'Wan Williams this season, he's been targeted 61 times. He's only allowed 42 completions. That's a 69% completion rate at 6 yards per target. He's only allowed 1 touchdown in his coverage. He's also occasionally used as a blitzer. He's had 3 blitzes, 2 quarterback knockdowns, and a sack. Now, Tyreek Hill doesn't live in the slot. In the regular season, he only played 35% of his snaps in there. But when he does go in there and he's getting a free release off the line, the 49ers are going to need someone like K'Wan Williams to come up big and try and slow him down. In the postseason, he's played 2 games. He's had 1 forced fumble, 1 sack, and 1 tackle for loss. So he's made his rated an important player for the 49ers.
I look at this, Neil, and I wonder if we're going to be looking at special teams plays that make the difference. I look at that and think, okay, that means, is a field position. And I look at Mecole Hardman, punt and kickoff returner for the Chiefs, hopefully, as long as Tyreek Hill doesn't decide he wants to do it again. And I think, can he get one back to the house? Can he turn, starting from the 35 to starting on the 49ers 35? That I look at that and think that's big. Let's be honest. It's tough days for the guys who are going to cover Kelce and Kittle. But can you disrupt them? I don't think you're going to stop them, especially Kelce. Like Kittle might, depending on how the game script goes, Kittle might not get a lot of play. But the guys who are covering them, can they keep them quiet? Because if they do, they are big pieces of the offense on both sides that will have major problems.
I think a player for the Chiefs who, again, it's in that range. He's been used, as safety. He's played a bit of linebacker. It's Daniel Sorensen. Now, he's been a bit of a punching bag at times for the Chiefs going back to the last season, but this year he's actually not been too bad. In pass coverage, again, he allows 66% completion. 6.2 yards per target. The one area that he struggles in is yak. So he allowed, in his pass coverage, he gave up 348 yards this season. 206 of it was in yak. Mm-hmm. So if they can get someone like Deebo Samuel or Kendrick Bourne or someone like that on Daniel Sorensen, that's a big mismatch. But he's another one who has made a few plays this postseason. He's got a pass defended, he's got a forced fumble, he's got a tackle for loss. In the regular season, I say he only missed 7.1% of his tackles. He has been quite sure, quite a short, steady presence. And what he does is he allows Steve Spagnuolo to get creative with Tyrann Mathieu. And Tyrann Mathieu can then go and be an absolute nuisance. And if, while we know that George Kittle is an absolute beast as a run blocker, and he seems to enjoy it as well, I wouldn't if I'd torn my labrum.
No.
But to be honest, I don't think I'd enjoy it full stop. If they get Tyrann Mathieu, I presume they would try and cover Kittle with Mathieu. It's a size mismatch in Kittle's favour, but size isn't a skill when it comes to Tyrann Mathieu. And when you've got a chip on both shoulders, which I think he has, that'll be a fascinating contest. But Daniel Sorensen, I'm not saying he has to be massive, but he's a player who, how he performs, could certainly help sway the day.
Okay, Neil, before we get onto our picks and MVPs and whatever scores, let's get onto those ridiculous prop bets that everyone looks at. I think I was listening to Cousin Sal earlier today, and he said there was something like, in some of them in America, there's 300 different prop bets, which is insanity. We're going to stick to some classics. First one, lengthen the national anthem. For those who are unaware, that is Demi Lovato this week. It's from O, and the last word is brave, and she can say it multiple times. The over-under is 121.5 seconds, Neil.
Remember Aretha Franklin doing it for 4 minutes a couple of Thanksgivings ago, and they put up that graphic, time of possession. So 2 minutes. I mean, I don't know what's a good. Should we? I think it'd be nice, for our listener. And I say listener, if we both sang the national anthem now, just to get a bit of timing on it, or shall we not? I'm going to take the over. I think it's the Super Bowl. I think the over is an easy bet.
I think when I look and it says if Demi Lovato sings the word brave multiple times and it be settled on the final brave, that for me gives me a good chance on the over. So I'm with you. I'm going to take the over. There's some classic specials here. Will she sing with a mic stand or not? And will she sing in a jersey, either Miami, Kansas City, or San Francisco? Do any of them take your fancy?
I think 5-4 singing into a microphone, not in a mic stand, is. I think that's a baller move. I think that's what we'll go with.
I wonder if you can do with a microphone in a Dolphins jersey combo, because I don't think none of them are brave enough to watch to go Kansas City or San Francisco. Like that would be silly. Like, I don't know if you saw, you were probably one of the million people who saw Rob Lowe at the I think it was a Chiefs game in the NFL.
NFL hat. Yeah.
In the NFL hat. Like, maybe everybody else is dead naive, right? But like literally minutes after that game finished, a brand new TV show starring Rob Lowe was on. So the reason he had an NFL hat on was because he didn't want to offend anybody in Tennessee or he was in San Francisco. Anyone in San Francisco, Northern California or Wisconsin. That was why it was like that. Do you know what I mean?
It's almost like Rob Lowe or his representation know what they're doing.
Yeah. Just so you know, Demi Lovato from Albuquerque, New Mexico, so probably has no affiliation to any of these teams. So there you go. My favourite always, Neil, is winning Coach Gatorade shower colour. It's a classic. What are you going with?
That was actually my REM tribute band name.
That's a great one, isn't it?
Yeah. Apparently, according to friend of the show, Elliot Christ, there's been a big move on purple.
Why does Elliot know that?
God, these people are what's known in the gambling parlance as degenerates, and that's so purple at 3-1. If Mr. Christ is in on that action, I'm going along for the ride.
I love being boring on this one now. I'm going clear 5-1. So you get the added bonus of it possibly being water.
Which, let's be honest, I'd rather drink water.
Yeah, America needs to embrace the Lucasade because Gatorade is absolute filth juice.
Yeah, your Gatorade is shite and your chocolate is worse. Our gift to you is this knowledge. Take from it what you will.
What they've got now is M&M's, caramel, magic. Anything in a Hershey concept, get that out of said face.
Yeah, take Hershey, wrap it up into a nice bow, and fire it into the sea.
Yeah, please. Super Bowl commentator bingo. Will any of these be referred to? Honey Badger, yes or no, Neil?
Yeah.
Absolute nailed on. That's like free money. Will anyone mention the Seahawks?
Yeah.
Will anybody mention baseball? It is Joe Buck, by the way.
It's Joe Buck, and obviously Patrick Mahomes Sr. Was in the MLB. Yeah, that's nailed on. There's no value there.
Will Tom Brady be mentioned?
No.
Okay. Will the year 1969 be mentioned?
Yeah.
Will the word Hall of Fame be used?
Yeah.
Falcons?
That's only going to be if someone goes up big, and I don't see anyone going up very big, so I'm going to say no.
Roughing the passer?
Yeah.
Lions?
No.
Okay.
I would like to see what the odds are on anyone using the phrase matriculating down the field.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, because if they're going on a run, and it's not dink and dunk, but slowly but surely, someone is going to make that connection with Hank Stram. I'd love to know what the odds are for that.
Gonna let you in on a little secret here now. While Neil was on Steve Hoverstall's breakfast show this morning, he was asked about the Super Bowl show, halftime show, and for those who are unaware, it's Shakira and Jennifer Lopez. And I thought he started talking about his wives, like wives and girlfriends, and I assumed he was going to say you shouldn't be watching this because you want to watch it on your own, because I know Neil. But actually he was saying that's how you can get your wife or girlfriend to watch, because they are like Shakira or Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I know what he's going to say here, and he said something very different, Neil. So you've grown and you're mature. Well done. I didn't think you were. I thought that was about to be your first and last attempt on the show. On that note, who will sing the first line in the Super Bowl halftime show? Will it be Shakira or will it be Jennifer Lopez?
Senior partner, Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah, indeed. And my favourite, this is a final one. Don't forget, this is for those who are unaware, and Neil wasn't. Bravo to Neil. This is a Rock Nation production. Will there
Shout
be
out to Liz Loza for informing me.
Will there be any? I was going to say you didn't know, you would have read that up. Anytime guest duet during the thing. Is there anyone who takes your fancy in that list that I can see before even so can you?
Well, I know one of these performers did have a song called Miami.
Oh my goodness!
And I don't know, that's and the problem is, of course, that his movie came out 3 weeks ago, so he doesn't have to promote that now. But Will Smith, maybe?
I can see that. I look and think I can get Jay-Z a 3-1, and he's already going to be there. But secretly, I want Pitbull.
A phrase that nobody should ever say.
Yeah, exactly. Neil, let's get serious. Let's pick the game. At the moment, the Chiefs are favoured by 1.5. And the over-under is 54, Neil. So I would like a winner and a score prediction, please.
I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs 27-17. So obviously I'm going, that's under. I just think everyone's expecting this to be, an over. I think some people in their heart of hearts are hoping it's a Rams-Chiefs from last year. And I'll be honest, I'd take Jimmy Garoppolo over Jared Goff. So it's possible, but I don't think it's going to happen. I just worry that the 49ers may be bringing knives to gunfights, and they're not going to take full advantage of every possible opportunity they have to score.
I feel like I don't want to pick the same team as you. I think the best quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. I think the better team is the 49ers. I'm going to go NFC here. I'm going to take the 49ers to win the game 29-24. So I think we're both under, are we? 54?
Yeah, because you'll be...
53. Okay.
53, yeah.
Who's your MVP, Neil?
If the Chiefs win, they're winning because of one man. So it'll be Patrick Mahomes.
And that is 5-6. I like the idea of Nick Bosa at 25-1, but let's be honest, soon to be Hall of Famer Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowl MVPs when Justin Tuck should have won both of them. So let's be honest. If it's 29-24 and Jimmy Garoppolo throws for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, he's going to be the MVP, and he get 5-2 for that.
You know, I saw someone on Twitter the other day say that Jimmy Garoppolo's experience of playing in the Super Bowl will stand him in good stead. And I was thinking, yeah, he was invaluable in those Patriots Super Bowl wins.
But did someone asked him? I don't know if you've seen it on Twitter. Someone asked him the question about if him and Kyle talk about it. He said, "Yeah, I wind him up about it all the time." What did you have to do with that game?
Yeah, you had nothing to do with it, mate. You had as much to do with that win as I did, and you got some jewelry out of it.
Friend also touchdown writer Thomas Willoughby took it well. Told Jimmy Garoppolo to F off. I responded, glad to see you've got over that loss, Tom. As you can imagine, he's a Falcons fan. He wrote, "I'm fine" 7 times.
So clearly he's not. Should we point out as well, of course, that we do have the 2 best tight ends in the NFL going head to head, and no tight end has obviously ever won MVP in a Super Bowl.
No, and one of them loves wrestling more than me, which is a good word. Also,
loves the fact that he had more tackles than touchdowns this season.
He loves hitting people. He's proper weird, but bravo to him.
As friend Denny would say, it's seriously high tea.
Neil, that's it. The season ends Sunday night into Monday morning. People can listen to you Monday morning on Radio City to find out how it went. I wish you all the best with that.
There will be caffeine.
There will be caffeine indeed. Any final thoughts, Neil?
It's been a good season, I think. There's been enough about this season as a whole to get excited about moving forward. We've seen, Patrick Mahomes, if he played the whole season, would he have been MVP? Possibly. But Lamar Jackson was phenomenal. He was a breath of fresh air. We've seen teams can run the ball. So the art of the run game is not yet dead. We've seen, we've probably seen the end of a few journeys that pretty much we've seen, as our friendship has been around. These people have been with us the whole or most of the way. It's been an incredible season, and I think that obviously there are 30 teams disappointed they're not here. But I think if the fan bases of those other 30 teams took a long, hard look at themselves, you couldn't really say that this is a terrible Super Bowl on paper.
Yeah, this has all the makings of a good one. And it's bizarre, and we've got a feel for all those New England fans who are totally and utterly bamboozled by the fact their team aren't in this game. We will be back next week with a wrap up.
We'll wrap it up.
With a wrap up, and we will also be doing the Waxies, our end of season awards, with obviously a major slant on fantasy. But until then, enjoy the Super Bowl, enjoy this halftime show. Don't forget to tell your wives and girlfriends that they should watch it because it's got Shakira and Jennifer Lopez. Until that time, these top guys are out.